Chapter 10. As Amanda entered the Students for Life office on Thursday, she was surprised to see Emily sitting next to Jared on the couch. They were deep in conversation, not having noticed her yet. "Hi, did I get the date wrong?" she asked as she knocked on the door jamb. They both jumped and turned guilty faces her direction. What had they been talking about? Had it been about her? Jared smiled, rising from the couch.
"No, I just thought since we had been so slow on Tuesday that we could brainstorm ways to keep the group going and growing. I hope that's okay."
It's more than okay, but how come I get the special planning meeting? I'm brand new. Amanda's gaze wandered from Jared to Emily and back. She appeared calm, but he kept balling and unballing his fists as if he were nervous about something.
I thought you might have ideas from your clinic time in Mesquite. Plus you're new, so maybe you have ideas of how to reach new people that we've forgotten about."
Amanda narrowed her eyes. Emily was only a sophomore and Jared a junior. It wasn't like either of them were exactly out of touch. Amanda didn't know what they were hiding, but she had been thinking the last few days about ways to help, and she was happy to share them. Actually, I do have some ideas. She grabbed a folding chair and joined them at the back of the room. As Amanda shared her ideas, Jared's and Emily's faces lit up. Wheels were turning in their heads as well, and the three hammered out some concrete ideas to present to Tracy. When the discussion began to simmer, Amanda chanced a glance at her watch and was surprised to see her shift time was almost over. She had hoped to get Jared alone for a minute to ask for his version of the rift between him and Caleb, but that didn't appear to be an option today. She would just have to try to get him alone another time. Surely it was nothing important. Men fought over women all the time. Amanda could remember fights breaking out in the high school cafeteria at least once a month, and usually over a girl. As she gathered her bag and waved goodbye, her phone rang. "I'll see you guys later," she said, hitting the call button as she exited the room. "Hi, Caleb. Yeah, I'm on my way." All thoughts of talking to Jared exited her mind as visions of Caleb filled it. The leaves crunched under her feet as she crossed the campus, and she breathed in the fresh air. Fall was her favorite time of the year with the bright orange and yellow colors of the leaves and the crisp chill that whispered in the air. Today was especially quiet outside, allowing her thoughts to roam as she crossed the campus. Everyone must still be in class or partaking of some other indoor activity. Caleb was waiting when she arrived at his dorm, and after a kiss hello that set her entire body aflame, they walked together to his car. Amanda turned to him as he pulled out of the parking lot. "Hey, one of the people I met at Students for Life attends this church on Indiana Ave. Do you want to try it with me on Sunday?" While it wasn't a total lie, she felt just a tiny bit guilty not telling him the person was Jared. But she didn't want Caleb to say no just because of their history. Caleb's eyes fell to the floor.
"Oh, I would, but I promised my friend I'd help him move into an apartment on Sunday. I forgot we were planning to find a church."
Disappointment surged through Amanda, and she frowned. How did one forget about finding a church? "Oh, okay."
"Listen, why don't you check it out this week, and next week I promise I'll go with you."
He patted her thigh with his right hand before returning it to the steering wheel. Amanda nodded, but her previous elation faltered a little. Tiny nuggets of doubt crawled into her head again. What if Caleb wasn't who she was supposed to be with? Shouldn't he want to be at church as much as she did? Caleb must have sensed the change in Amanda's mood, because he turned the car off but made no move to unlock the doors when they arrived at the movie theater. Instead, he turned to her and pushed a lock of hair behind her ear. His feather touch sent her nerves tingling and ground the nuggets of doubt to dust. He tilted her face up so Amanda's eyes were locked on his.
"I'm sorry I forgot about our plans, but I promise I'll make it up to you."
His voice flowed like silk over her bruised emotions and her doubt. She nodded, trance-like, as the familiar tingling sensation took over at Caleb's touch. Her lips parted and he leaned down to kiss her. Caleb's hands pushed at the back of her neck, urging her to respond in kind. As the tingling sensation pulsed and her breath grew labored, she pushed back on Caleb's chest, breaking the connection that was threatening her self-control. "We'll miss the movie." She smiled up at him, hoping he would understand. A fire of desire flared in his eyes, and for a second he looked like he wasn't going to stop. But then he took a deep breath, nodded, and unlocked the doors. Amanda's breath gushed out in relief as she climbed out of the truck. After buying the tickets, they entered the brightly lit foyer of the theater. The hum of conversation filled the air along with the salty, buttery smell of fresh popcorn. As they surged forward into a line, a man yelled out and waved to Caleb.
"Oh, hey, come meet my good friend Trevor."
Lacing his fingers through hers, Caleb pulled Amanda over to the dark-haired man standing in the next line over. He had chiseled features, though his nose was a little too big for his face. A blonde with long legs and short shorts stood next to him, running a hand idly through her hair and twirling the ends, while her pouty pink lips smacked some gum.
"Trevor, I want you to meet Amanda. Amanda, Trevor."
Amanda smiled and put forth her hand, but before he took it, Trevor's eyes roamed up her body. His eyebrows raised slightly and a smile spread across his face. When he touched her hand, a feeling of nausea bubbled in Amanda's stomach, and she quickly retracted her hand and excused herself, citing a need to use the bathroom. As she entered the black and white bathroom, she rushed to a sink. Turning on the water, Amanda splashed some on her face and then scrubbed her hands. Trevor's gaze and touch had left a dirty film, and she couldn't seem to get it off, even with all the scrubbing. How could he be friends with Caleb? Was there a side to Caleb she didn't know? Jared's reaction to Caleb returned to her mind. Caleb had said it was over a girl, but what if there was more to it? The questions that had plagued her earlier returned with force, pounding like a raucous parade in her mind. A stinging sensation in her hands shifted her attention, and Amanda realized they were red and smarting from the scrubbing. She turned off the water, and after drying them gingerly with the paper towel, she headed back to Caleb, hoping he was no longer talking to Trevor. He was, in fact, waiting right outside in the hallway.
"Everything okay?"
he asked, handing her a drink. "Yeah, I guess so." Amanda bit her lip as they sauntered down the carpeted hallway to the theater, trying to find the words to ask what was weighing on her mind. "How good of a friend is Trevor?" He turned to her, his eyebrows cocked.
"Why do you ask?"
Amanda shrugged and ran her free hand over her opposite arm, which had broken out in goosebumps. "Just the way he looked at me, it kind of bothered me." Caleb smiled.
"Oh, he's harmless. He just knows a pretty girl when he sees one. In fact, he'll probably tell me later how jealous he is that he didn't meet you first."
"I guess." The explanation didn't soothe Amanda's nerves. Instead, it opened even more questions about Caleb in her mind.